Hello everybody, welcome to stage 6 of the Illbleed tutorial. Once again, I'm assuming you have bought healing items. It's especially important for this stage because there are basically no good healing item pickups in the whole stage. There's not that many traps that can actually hurt you, so you don't need that many healing items, but you need some. You ain't gonna find any, and as always, prioritize bleeding items. Although at this point you have basically infinite money, so you shouldn't need to worry about anything like that. Right, so, Toyhunter is a special kind of level, where most of the traps actually trigger very, very long cutscenes. So first pick up your gun, and your horror monitor, and try and receive a ticket, and pause the game like an idiot by mashing too hard. Try and get a ticket, so stand close to this guy to bait him into doing an attack to start with, run over, get some progress on mashing down the escape route, and then just dodge him in sort of the usual way. Run circles around him, literally speaking. Fortunately, he doesn't do very much damage, so he's not too bad to start with. Make sure you pick up the ticket. You have to, like, press again on the ticket booth to pick up the ticket. It doesn't pick up automatically. And then we proceed on to the tutorial type thing. This comes in many cutscenes. Funnily enough, when the page appears into the screen, like this one, that one, that's still affected by holding down, like, the triggers to increase the speed of menu transitions. But that was explaining the basic gameplay mechanic of Toyhunter, which is that there are now scares that trigger very, very long cutscenes instead. They're fixed, they're not random, fortunately. Jump around the right corner here to avoid the first story trigger on the left side of the room. Tag that one, there's no dodging past this. Every story trigger takes, like, minutes to complete, so you want to avoid hitting any of them at all costs. Stick to the right here and jump up to avoid a story trigger on the left. Walk past a pair of concealed breasts. My favorite thing. Alright, and these two are unmarked, so this one's fun. It's just empty space on the floor. A story trigger. Yep. And this one's easy to miss. It's the little megaphone thing on the wall. I don't know what you call those. They have a name, I'm sure. Yep. And now we move on to identifying what pattern you are on. There are 4 traps in this hallway. All of them are invisible spots on the ceiling, and the exact combination of which determines which pattern you are on. This first one here, not present on pattern A. So if you don't have that, it will always be the next one. But that itself does not tell you what pattern you have. Yep. Then this next one here, they are invisible, and often a bit difficult to hit. Not pattern A. So then as the tunnel bends to the left, there will be another one on the ceiling, and that will be the one for pattern A. The second and fourth traps are what identify pattern A here. Then you will advance through to a graveyard. On pattern A, the first 2 turns are perfectly clear. Just run in the middle. Get past the first soul, again, nothing. It's when you get past this second soul here that you need to pay attention. You're looking for an invisible spot on the ground, somewhat close to you. That grave near there is not a trap. At least not on pattern A. This is not the soul we're looking for. And then when you get past that soul, the grave there is a trap, but you can avoid it if you simply bank around it. And this last soul here is a fight encounter. It's prudent to tag this, even though obviously not tagging fights doesn't do damage to you. It gives you more time to get away from the monkeys, which we haven't actually fought because we skipped all their encounters. They attack fast and can stun lock you pretty bad, so just try and run away the best you can. And on pattern B, we'll start again from this hallway. It will not be the first trap on pattern B, although it is somewhat difficult to tell without getting kind of too close to it. It's one of those funny traps where the range of activation is pretty much the range from which you can detect it too. But if it's not the first one, you know it'll be the second one. Yep. And then for pattern B, it will be the third one. So second and third for pattern B. And we move into pattern B's graveyard. As you do this first turn here, whip out the horror monitor and tag the ground at the far end here. I also tag a nearby grave. I think that is also a scare, but you can avoid that by simply not going near it. Whereas this ground scare, you cannot avoid that. Go past the first soul, stay in the middle to avoid possibly clipping any traps on the left or the right, and as long as you tag this soul, That is where the fight encounter is located on this pattern. There's always a fight encounter, the difference is just which soul it's inside. And other than that, as long as you stay roughly in the middle, as you advance through the rows of graves, you'll be fine and get through the entire thing with no more scratches. So pattern C is the easiest pattern to tell that you're on because it will be the very first trap in this hallway here. So whip out the horror monitor when you can get close. This angle isn't good enough, you need to actually have line of sight to the thing. Whip it out, and as soon as it activates, you know, yep, pattern C. Pattern C is the only pattern that has this trap on it. Yep. So now that you know you're on pattern C, you can joyfully run past this second one here, although I'm going to stop and tag it anyway for the sake of demonstration. Not active on pattern C. It's 1 and 3 for pattern C here. So this third one will be it. Yep. And in pattern C's graveyard, the first turn here is clear. No problems at all. But when you get to this turn by the fountain, tag the ground. The grave is either a trap or it's avoidable, I don't remember which, but either way, just don't get close to it. It's probably fine. This first soul is not it, but when you turn around this one, you can tag this grave. It is a trap on pattern C. It is avoidable if you go far to the left here, but I don't. The range of activation is actually quite large for that one. And this soul is the fight encounter for this one. The third soul. I jump into it for flavor. So for this one, I just mash and I get out. I don't even make an attempt to dodge, and I only get out taking 2 hits, and that's fine. That's actually almost ideal. And there are no more traps to worry about, so you can just advance onwards. As you approach the top of the stairs here, make sure you tag them to avoid getting into a long story event. Yep. And as you exit, jump around the right wall here to avoid a story trigger on your left. And don't advance too far forward here once the fade out, because there's another speaker you need to tag on the wall here. And that is a story event. Okay, back to trap patterns. All patterns in the city begin with a fight encounter. For pattern A here, it is the encounter on the left, on the floor here. I always forget in the moment, so I just tag both, but it is the one on the left, you might want to remember that. Tagging it is important because you'll spawn on the helipad immediately with unaggroed enemies, so you can just immediately mash B and escape for free. And then as you round the corner, this will be the left window here. This is avoidable if you bank right around the corner. Simple as, simple as. And then there will be another fight encounter at this junction here, but how you move will allow you to avoid it. For pattern A, you want to bank hard right around this corner. And then make sure you tag the chain link fence, because that will be a trap. Yep. And then you can advance smoothly to the end here. Pattern B starts similarly to pattern A with a fight encounter, except this one is on the right side of the road rather than the left. And once again, unaggroed enemies, you spawn basically right on top of the helipad, you can just start mashing B and escape before any of them have a chance to hurt you, which is grand. And once again, it will be the left window here, avoidable by banking right around the corner. Banking right around the corner, not getting stuck on the lamppost like a fool. And then you want to stay on the outside here. You want to stay more towards the left side. The fight has moved to more towards the right side of the room here. Still tag the chain link fence, but stay left, and you'll avoid the fight. Pattern C is the most markedly different because the fight spawn has moved to before the bend. It's now on the corner as you turn here. And this is the weakest spawn because you spawn right near the enemies, so they will in fact start aggro. There's no way to get around that. You will have to time some dodges here to get away without getting hurt. But that is no problem. Now, as you turn the corner, it will be the window on the right here, and you will have to tag this one. There is no avoiding this one by turning it a clever way. Yep. And the final fight is now more to the left, so once again, bank hard right around the corner and tag the chain link fence. The fight is avoidable on all 3 patterns, you just need to know whether you need to bank left or right. Anyway, as you approach the egg bar, tag a story event outside. Yep. There is another story event inside the bar, but this one can be avoided cleanly by just going around the room. You have a pretty wide amount of space to avoid this one. Drop into a nearby cutscene. As you enter the police station, stay on the left corner here to avoid another story trigger, and this is where your pattern starts mattering again. For pattern A, count the cells, because the traps are on 7th, 8th, and 9th, so count every cell you walk past. So when you get to about this corner, this will be cell number 7, so you should tag this. And there is no cell on the right side here, but there will be on this corner, so once again, that's cell number 8 and is a trap. Pattern A is the most awkward here, frankly, because you can't get all of the traps in one go. You can only tag them one at a time. The next one on the right, that will be number 9, and then the final trap will be the last cell on the left side here. And that's pattern A. And for pattern B, the traps will be on the first and second cells. It is difficult to tag the second cell from the starting point, so you will generally have to do them one at a time. And from there, you can clearly run to the final set of cells, because the final 2 traps that you need to tag are on the left. Around here-ish. They're the final 2 cells on the left side. And for pattern C, once again, count the cells, because you want cells 6, 7, and 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And from there you can tag them one at a time. Until you get to the final hallway here. Tag the 8th cell on the corner, and the final cell, the 10th one, will be on the left side. And then you can continue through. There will be another story event here you need to tag. Make sure you get the correct position on this, because again, you need line of sight through it. You cannot see that one through, like, the short wooden fence here. You have to be, like, dead center in order to tag that one. It's really awkward and very annoying. And now we enter the Hell Prison. There is only one trap here, regardless of pattern, and on pattern A, it is the second cell that you come across. For pattern B, it is the 6th and final cell that you can possibly cross past, so count the cells as you walk by them. And number 6. And on pattern C, it is the 3rd cell that you can cross by. This one again requires a somewhat particular angle, because you need line of sight. And from there, things can proceed as normal. Tag this story event. You don't need to tag it right now. You can avoid it for now and come back later, but you might as well tag it while you're here the first time. No other scares here can be activated unless you deliberately interact with an object that has a scare attached to it. And this gas can has an item you need to pick up and a story event, so tag the story event first, and then pick up your gasoline. Run it all the way back, again remembering, hold the trigger buttons when you open the menu, as it increases the speed you can get through the menu. And move onwards to Cork's Execution. What a delightful turn of phrase. Right, so the executions are funny. These also don't hurt you unless you interact with them, so you need to remember from a cutscene what the correct method of Cork's Execution was. It's hanging. So it's the 3rd one down. You just skip past these ones. But the hanging execution is itself a story event, so when you get to about this point, tag it, and just jump in the hole.
Yep.
The sewers are the last pattern-dependent trap thing in the game, and there's only one trap in it that moves places depending on your pattern. In pattern A, it appears in the final position that it possibly can, so this gets to play it in its entirety the first time. So you take one left turn through the second tunnel, take another left turn when you reach the end of that tunnel, take a right turn when you go up through that tunnel, and then somewhere close to the end of this is the scare. There's no visual cue for this, you just have to sort of know to get close enough, but the hitbox is pretty taggable from a distance, so it's not too difficult. And from there, proceed as normal. Pattern B and C actually have overlap here. They have the exact same scare in the sewer. So once again, you ignore the first turn off, take the second one, jump across. But then the trap is located on this turn instead, and it can be tagged straight away after you make that jump.
Yep.
And that is the final bit of pattern variation for the entire rest of the stage, so from here on it plays out exactly the same regardless of your pattern. Advance forward, skip a couple of cutscenes, take the chip off this guy, jump up these stairs, you can't walk up them for some reason, they block you, and then you enter the town. The goal of the town is to find a child, so you can be adopted by them, and then you can kill the child, so you can go to hell. It's an odd game. But the child is always in the same place, and take this particular line through the town here, so like, hug this wall, and then kind of take a curve around here to this sign. This avoids an enemy encounter. It's a weirdly particular line. And touch this window, and that is the window the child is in. Use the chip on the Pododon over here, and congratulations, you have killed a child. You may now go to hell. There's a save point just past this. It's very easy to miss this because the event trigger that you want to hit to go forward, to go to hell, is right here. If you want to save, do that. If you don't, don't. It's not really necessary. The boss coming up here is not particularly difficult. He's actually probably the lowest damage boss in the game. We are now fighting Sonic the Hedgehog. Shoot him in his kneecaps and he sprays a bunch of rings in completely random directions. Every single ring can take 3 hits before it is destroyed. You need to destroy all the rings to achieve victory. If you get lucky, multiple rings will fly near each other and you might be able to kill 2 of them in one attack rather than just 1, and that tends to be very rare. I got 2 there because I was very lucky. While Sonic is doing any sort of attack animation, he is completely invincible, there is no way to interrupt it, just wait it out, which means Sonic can, in fact, just combo spin dash into spin dash into spin dash and lose you a ton of time by not playing the game. But every boss in Illbleed has the ability to not play the game if they want to. Sonic is no stranger to this. So there's a lot of luck involved, but generally speaking, try and, like, keep your distance while you're fighting. Simply because if he's not swatting at you, it makes it easier for you to destroy the rings. And it tends to get more difficult when they fly off in random directions like this, because the last couple of rings will generally fly in completely opposite directions. But not too tough a boss fight on the whole. And Sonic shuts down, and you have completed the final level in Illbleed. All that remains is the final boss. Okay, so, running into the final boss of Illbleed. Unlike other levels, there is no point in buying any healing items before you go in here. You can't use any healing items during a fight, so no point, just run straight in, go for it. Run up to the Reynolds Museum, and we reach the final encounter. Now, as you run into the hallway here, remember to actually pick up weapons. On the left here, there is a Mary substitute doll that can act as an extra life. If you're going for good times, you don't need this. It's not very difficult to do this without dying. Pick up a machine gun here on your right. There is also an axe here. You don't need the axe. Where we're going, we do not need an axe. A melee weapon will not do you as much good as a gun here. And Illbleed gives you a choice of final bosses. We will always choose the Dollarchura, the killer department store boss that we didn't actually fight. It's the easiest by far. So the strategy to this one is to keep your distance and shoot a lot of gun. When it rears up to do an attack, run around it. It is pretty much that simple, but always keep maximum distance. Distance is far more important than, like, angle here, because it can only start doing the jump attack when it's sufficiently close enough to you, rather than, like, needing to turn around. It turns too fast for that. Sometimes it will go on the ceiling. This is basically random. Drop these little guys, all of which you need to kill before it will come back down off the ceiling. Avoid the shadow because it will drop acid on you, and it drops it very quickly. It's very hard to avoid on reaction. And while it's coming down from the ceiling, use that opportunity to put distance between you and the boss so you can just repeatedly shoot it. Because if it gets shot enough, it will experience a counter hit, which can stumble it, which gives you more time to put more bullets into it to do more damage. But at the end of the day, how many times it will go on the ceiling and thus waste a bunch of time is not massively in your control. You see, once you know that you've killed the last one, see, I try and put some distance between me and the boss here. I got some okay distance there. Could have been better. The problem is that fights in this game have invisible walls, and you can't really see them until you run into them. The playfield starts to flash blue if you bump an invisible wall. They tried. Bless them. Yes, avoid damage in this way, because this boss actually hits fairly hard, but the difficulty is balanced by the fact that it's relatively easy to avoid getting smacked around by it. The other bosses hit even harder and are more mobile, so they are not viable for winning any percentage. But with some practice, this shouldn't be too tough a fight. If you know you're about to win, like I am about to here, you can go for a blood kill off this and just let it hit you. If you think you'll kill it first. And once you've beaten the boss, that is it. Smash time, folks. You've done it. You've completed Illbleed. And this is now the credits. This is the part where I get to ramble emptily for a bit here. Thank you very much for watching this, whether you're an interested viewer, someone who's genuinely considering picking up the game, or maybe you just like to hear about this sort of thing. Maybe you just like the sound of my voice. I don't know. I don't know what your reasons are for watching this far. I'm not a mind reader. Do I look like a mind reader? But really, thank you very much for enjoying this. I'm gonna just ramble for a bit now. I've been making this tutorial since October at this point. As I record this, it's 6 AM on Christmas Day. I'm about to go to bed. This is the life I lead, man. But yeah, this tutorial's been a long time in the making. God, if you told me back in October this would take 3 months to complete, I probably wouldn't have even started it, but here we are. So thank you very much. If you actually picked the game up because of the tutorial, please tell me. I really want to know that I didn't spend 3 months on this for nothing. Ridiculous. I hope you enjoy running this game as much as I have. After all, I do enjoy this run. I think it's a fun, unique run. That's why I spent 3 months of my life making a stupid tutorial for it in the hopes that other people would enjoy it the same sort of way I do. Fun bonus tip for you. The in-game timer, this game has one. We don't use it for timing, but it does have one. Counts the final cutscene, so skip it and go straight to credits if you want optimal IGT. We don't, it's not a timing method, we don't care, but just, I don't know, whatever. It's there, dude. It's there. And if you're still listening, I'm now going to plug myself, because I feel justified in doing so, given how long it took me to make this thing. If you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. I post speedruns, sometimes tutorials, sometimes bespoke video content, although albeit quite rarely these days. Follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/punchy. Follow my Twitter at Twitter_succinct_punchy. All things that you can do to support stupid endeavors like making like an hour-and-a-half long tutorial for a Dreamcast game. You can also not do any of those things if you just came here to learn the speedrun. I'm completely okay with that, don't mind me. And that's it, that's all I've got for you. I got nothing else to ramble about, so I will leave you with the credits music. I hope you enjoy running Illbleed as much as I do. Thank you very much for watching again. See you next time!